Hello everyone. Hello everyone. On Thursday, I was diagnosed with a condition called spasmodic dysphonia, and that originates in my brain, in the basal ganglia, deep within my brain. Obviously, I made a video about that, and this is how my voice is now because of it. However, like I always do, I started researching how I could improve my lot. I've always tried to look on the bright side of things, and obviously the first thing that I looked at was that at least I didn't have throat cancer, which would have been a million times worse. And for that, I'm thankful. I also looked at various forms of therapy and how I could get my voice back. Because I can tell you, I am having to force my voice out. It's a bit like shouting. And if I were to speak normally, then this is how I would be speaking, which is very helpful if you've got a YouTube channel. But all the research that I did, I found a couple of channels that do exercises that I can do to hopefully improve my voice. And one even suggested using a voice straw in a large glass of water that I would have to blow through and then make a noise at the same time. So obviously I have ordered one. Well, actually, I had to order two, and they were £21.99 for the two silicone tubes. I suspect they give you two because £29.99 for a straw is frankly ridiculous, but I suspect people with this condition are willing to pay it if it does make a difference. But it got me to thinking, when I was at the consultant's office and he said, "Do you have a tremor?" Well, obviously I wasn't shaking then because I had my stimulator on. And I said, "Yes, I do." And if any of you have ever looked at the video of me on Switch On Day, where you can see me before and after my deep brain stimulator is switched on, you will see how much difference having that deep brain stimulator implanted deep within my brain. Well, actually, the stimulator thing is here and the wires are deep within my brain. So he said, "Well, that's very interesting." And then he told me I had spasmodic dysphonia. Anyway, that got me to thinking, well, if it's something to do with my brain, I wonder if my deep brain stimulator could make me better, or would I need to have extra probes put into my brain to actually make it happen? So I emailed the people that alter the frequencies on my stimulator every time I go there. A lady, and her name is Caroline, and she's absolutely wonderful. And she sits at her computer and wirelessly alters the amplitude that my deep brain stimulator is set at. I can do it manually with this, but more often than not, I choose not to faff around with it because I have altered it several times when I was shaking more than normal. And though that makes my hands much more still than they were beforehand, it also makes me quite unsteady on my feet. I almost feel as if I'm leaning over to the right. I'm apt to walk into doorways, and that's irritating. And one time I crouched down in Waitrose and completely lost my balance in the aisle whilst trying to get coffee, and ended up on the other side of the aisle and bashed my head. And much to my embarrassment, I must have looked such a fool that two young ladies, they were so sweet and so helpful. They came over to me and said, "Are you okay? Are you okay? And can I do the rest of your shopping for you?" I mean, that was so kind and helpful, and it was just wonderful. I had actually only gone into Waitrose for coffee, but you know how it is. You go into a shop for one thing and you end up thinking, well, I won't get a basket. I only need coffee. But you've walked around and you've picked things up on the way. So my arms were full and all the stuff that I'd picked up along the way was all scattered all over the floor. So she went and got me a basket. That said, that is why I don't tend to turn it up a lot, because I do go wobbly. Anyway, one evening I was researching spasmodic dysphonia, and I came across something on Google. I know that people are going to say, oh, for goodness sake, you're another one of those people that look at Dr. Google for your answers, but it was a medical publication, and I read that deep brain stimulation can help this problem. So I had emailed the Bristol Brain Centre to find out if they could adjust my settings when I go there next time to sort out this. That said, yesterday morning I thought, well, what harm can I do to myself if I just increase the amplitude myself to see if it makes any difference? And I'm going to show you what happens. Now, I've got this, and this is what happens. You press it and it comes to life. And then I have the opportunity to go to the main menu. And right now I've got 1.8 amplitude on both sides. And this is what I'm going to show you. I'm going to increase it gradually, because if I do it very rapidly, it feels horrible. So I'm going to carry on increasing it as I talk, and you might be able to see what is happening with my voice. I'm going to do one bit at a time on each of them. Now it's up to 2 on both sides. I think I can hear a little bit of a better voice appearing. And now we're up to 2.1. And I'm going up to 2.1 on the other side as well. That's left and right at 2.1. I'm going to push it up a bit more. It's up to 2.2 now on both sides, and I swear I can hear it in my own voice. I can hear it getting better just as I speak. It does feel very odd. I tell you, when you put this thing up, it makes you tingle from the top of your head right down to your feet, and it makes you feel quite spacey, as if somebody's given you a whiff of, I suppose, helium or something. Now on the right, I've got up to 2.7. Can you hear the difference? And on the left, I'm going up to 2.3, 2.4, 2.5. Now, can you tell the difference in my voice? I tried singing when I did this yesterday, and from this squeak that was coming out of my voice when I had not turned it up to what I've got now is massively different. Although, I have to tell you, it still does get a little wobbly. But look, it's at that now, and my voice sounds normal. Isn't that miraculous? Now, most people don't have the benefit of already having had a deep brain stimulator fitted because they have an essential tremor. But if you do, and you have just been diagnosed with spasmodic dysphonia, which starts in your brain and causes your voice muscles to contract and clam up, then by getting your remote control and pushing it up higher, you can get your voice back. During the days when my voice was gone, and some days it was gone almost totally, I felt very isolated. There is nothing like not really being able to talk. And then the worry sets in. What are you going to do? And my darling boy would shout something from downstairs up to me, and I'd think, why do you do that? I can't answer you. And then he'd shout again as if I were ignoring him, but I wasn't. And then eventually he'd realised his mistake, and he would come upstairs and he'd say, I'm sorry, we're going to have to work out something new, aren't we? I'm always going to have to come in front of you and ask you the question. I mean, it's not like I'm deaf. But that's what he thought. But now I've got my voice back, and I can't tell you what a relief and how grateful I am to have it back. It's like a miracle. And that goes to show you, if you don't give up and you find something and you just give it a go, if it works, it's wonderful. And I suspect there are a lot of people that have an essential tremor that are getting the spasmodic dysphonia problem as well. I would never have believed that a croaky voice could be down to having something wrong in the basal ganglia of your brain. I would have just put up with it for years had not my doctor said, oh, it could possibly be throat cancer. And then I really did worry. But if you do have a croaky voice, that didn't start overnight. Now, mine didn't start overnight. I noticed a difference in my voice several months ago when I could no longer hit the notes that I used to be able to hit when I was singing. And I thought, that's a pity, because I do enjoy singing, and I did have a beautiful voice. I have perfect pitch. Not that you would have known that I had perfect pitch if you'd have heard me singing when I had not got this thing turned up. It was like a cat being caught in a fence and trying to escape that sort of squealing, screeching noise. But even now, my voice does shake, but it's so much better. And this is my new reality. I am just so happy that I've already got this brain thing fixed in my head for the essential tremor, that I was able to do this. But if you have spasmodic dysphonia and you are able to make inquiries about getting this done, I had mine done just over a year ago on the NHS. It took a couple of years on the waiting list to get it done, but it was done on the NHS, and I'm forever grateful for them doing it. Anyway, I thought that was worth letting you know about. And if you know somebody that's got a croaky voice and it's getting worse, please get them to go to see their doctor. You never know. It might be spasmodic dysphonia. And if they've got essential tremor and they've got a deep brain stimulator fitted, the answer could be as simple as turning it up. And if you have been, thanks a lot for watching. Lots of love. Bye-bye.